And honestly, the thing that I loved the most was, traveling different parts of Colorado. You're going up to, doing a wedding on the side of a mountain, and you get to be there and bartend and hang out and manage and, really good times.
Or doing events at Food Wine Aspen, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys had a good set.
And also during that time too, I was working some other side jobs. So at that point, I'd kind of upped my game on my knowledge base. I was a spirit specialist for a liquor distributing company as a part-time gig.
What does that entail, that job?
It's all about being that heavy hitter that can come in with a salesperson and really kind of just describe the spirits and talk about the story of the company or the spirit that you're showing, and the process of production, and really kind of being that expert in the room when you have a salesperson who's trying to show a lot of a book.
Yeah.
So that gave me an opportunity to do that, as well as like learning the supplier side of like supplier relationships and kind of the sales side of the the back end of distribution, which was really interesting time for me.
Yeah.
Our meetings were really great. Had a lot of really cool presentations from different winemakers, as well as spirits experts that came in and kind of taught us about different products, so on and so forth. So that was a really fun job. It was really part-time. It was a couple days a week. I kind of was just, picking up shifts I was doing my thing on the weekends. I thought, maybe I'd become a sales rep, but I was just kind of testing the waters.
On the other side of that, like when you were on that side, did you draw any skill that you had from your chef life?
I think being able, I think that the biggest thing that I can say that you can draw is your ability to taste. The ability to make an analysis about a dish or a beverage. I mean, it's all like being able to see the big picture and see the whole thing.
Gotcha.
And understanding like what is quality versus, what is, absolute garbage. And then how did, is this a really good winemaker, or is it
all hype, bro?
Exactly. And I think that when you really start to kind of iron out these pieces, I think that's kind of where you really kind of find that middle ground. So I think that for me was really like my point of where I really started to kind of figure out, how to use my palate in a way that was different but equally as effective.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Now, how long have you been here now?
So I've been with Peak Beverage for 4.5 years.
Okay.
To be actually closer to 5 years now.
And what is your position now?
Now I'm the beverage director.
Fucking right.
Yeah, so it was a really interesting time. So I came in the company, we were in a really small space out in Wheat Ridge. And I kind of got the ball rolling where I was doing the management thing. And there was a real need for bartending training. And, I had done some training before, but not to this extent. And I really had to dive deep in learning how to become a trainer, and how to teach and, understand measurables and, giving people guidance and being able to work with people and, really kind of trying to play into their strengths and their weaknesses and understanding how to really kind of support them in the best way I could.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that I did. And then that job kind of evolved into this role called field operations team, which was basically just managing our managers, having one-to-ones with them, kind of getting feedback, giving them feedback, and doing that stuff for a while. And then we had this exciting opportunity at the middle of end of 2018, early 2019 to move into a bigger space.
Got you.
So at that time, we were probably in a 10,000 square foot space, and now we're in a 30,000 square foot space.
Understood. What was this before?
This was just a shell of a building. This is just a warehouse.
It's just a warehouse.
Empty warehouse,
okay.
Yeah. And, so I was a part of the process of, we were scouting out places, we were doing capital raises, finding the location, coming into the location, and really kind of boots on the ground. And at that time, we had just hired this new guy, Justin George, who's an awesome guy to work with. He's our director of operations. He opened the Broken Shaker up in Chicago.
Okay,
great cocktail bar if you're ever out in Chicago. And he had some great knowledge, and we were tasked with opening up a liquor store. And me and Justin had never done that. I had been on the supplier side for a while and the distribution side, and understood that game of it. But it was a challenge. So we got a 5,000 square foot liquor store and was told and given the task to build a liquor store, and so we did that. So that was pretty much my 2019. At the end of 2019, it was I think the week of Christmas. We actually finally opened up the liquor store, and we were, loading shelves and building items and things like that. And then, we rocked it until March of 2020 when COVID hit. And then
What happened then?
It was crazy, man. It was a big week for us back then was, we did like $2,000 or $5,000 in the liquor store.
Yeah.
And given it's our second business, right? So Peak Beverage is beverage catering first.
Uh-huh.
And this, how we have to operate in Colorado is we legally have to have a retail space.
Understood.
But before, the retail space was just a warehouse where, boxes on the floor, whereas now we had a fully public-facing retail store. So we built that out, and then when COVID happened, it was crazy. We went from being like $5,000 a week to doing $250,000 months. I think our biggest month was $356,000, and that was the month of March. So we went from like a $10,000, $8,000 month to like a $12,000 month to a $350,000 month. And it was like that was our trajectory.
Just because people
business.
were fucking drinking?
Well, because we turned into a delivery model. Now we're doing Drizzly. Now we're doing this. And the pandemic happened. So everybody's drinking.
I'm like capitalizing on depression, baby. I love it.
It was crazy, man. It was crazy.
It was a crazy time for sure, bro. Ain't nobody know what's going to happen.
But now we rocked that, till, I was the interim GM of the store until, the first 4.5 months. And then we started doing digital events, man. And that was cool. And I started teaching digital events. I started going around and teaching whiskey tastings and things like that. And we were able to do $250,000 in 8 months doing digital events. And I was just teaching them and, packaging products and, selling products to one of our partners. And we just did the digital event thing, man. And it was wild. And, showed great success with that. And the company loved it. And, and ended up needing a beverage director. So, it's kind of what I've been doing for the company for some time, but
so like,
finally,
let's give him a title in an office.
Finally gave me a title in an office, and now we get to sit in it here today.
It's a pretty sweet fucking office, man. You got your collectibles over there.
No, we got some good bottles in here. And
what
then,
are some of your favorite bottles that you've come across? Just your whole time here that you're like.
Man, I mean, the biggest thing for me is, one of our core values here at Peak Beverage is continuous learning, and that's something that I really take seriously and something I've always loved to do. Mm-hmm. So for me, anytime I'm tasting a spirit, for me is always an exciting moment. Yeah. If it's something I haven't tasted before, for better or for worse, it's always this wonderful journey of seeing, the full expression of what was intended. Yeah. I personally am a fond lover of mezcal and raicilla and some of these more intriguing Mexican spirits because the production, how they're made, and the kind of nuances that they have are just so interesting. Yeah. Raicilla. So raicilla is an agave-based spirit that is produced in the state of Jalisco, but outside of tequila-producing regions. Gotcha. And it is classified as raicilla. It is typically made from wild agave, and the methods used for production are more of an ancestral style of production. So we're talking, could be a hollowed out oak tree as a part of like how they make their pot still. It could be that they're using a wooden mallet to crush the bagasso or the agave and crush it up to be able to put it into fermentation and things like that.
Got you. Man, there's a lot to learn, huh?
Oh yeah, a lot to learn.
Hell yeah,
and even more to drink, buddy.
I know, right? What were we sipping on before we started?
Well, we were sipping on a little bit of some Rey Campero Tepestate. Tepestate is a really fun agave.
Some of that.
It's really cool. This one's made in Zoquilan, which is an interesting place for agave spirits. But yeah, Tepestate, one of the older maturing agaves. I believe the age statement for maturity on Tepestate is anywhere between 20 and 24 years. Yeah. For full maturity. It's like Tepestate and Araqueña are two of the older maturities, whereas things like Espadín, things like that would be in the 6 to 7 year range for maturity. Yeah. Blue Weber agave is the 6 to 7, 6 now because of global warming, but about 6 years for maturity.
Because of global warming.
Yeah, holy unfortunately, fuck. It is speeding along some of the maturity of agaves.
When did this start happening? When did they call it like, oh shit, global warming?
Well, I mean, it's still like it's still a sliding scale. I mean, you still have to make sure the ripening happens when the quiote is showing, and basically it looks like a giant asparagus. It grows out the middle, and that's basically its indication that it's trying to reproduce, trying to drop seeds. And when you cut off that quiote, you're looking at how ripe it is, how close it is to being ready before you come back, and then you come in and cut off the piñas or the pancas so you can get to the piña for roasting. So. It's one of those things that I think is, like I said, man, it's super interesting stuff. I think that the thing that I've always loved about the world of beverage is you kind of get this really interesting dynamic of having to know about geology, geography, understanding weather patterns, understanding temperature diurnal ranges, as well as there's this huge cultural aspect, and then authentic practices that go into it. So it's like it's basically like you get to learn all of the interesting things that you studied in school, but it's all based on one product. So it's like not only about what it's made from and how it's made, but why do they make it that way, and then what is that product to them? Yeah. For example, like mezcal is a thing that's really a cure-all in Mexico. They say if you're sick, you drink mezcal. If you have an injury, you pour mezcal on it, right? It's like it's kind of this catch-all for kind of healing. And there's a lot of spirituality that comes in with mezcal and tequila, and its actual originality of what the product means to the people. And I think that to me is the most important thing about spirits is kind of watching the journey through all these different cultures, through so many different years of how product was kind of created, and how did it evolve, and who evolved it, and why. And it's just, to me, that to me is what spoke to me, and that's why I kind of went in the beverage direction. But that being said, I still love cooking food, and I still love being a part of the food industry, and I just think that there's so much to continually learn about all this stuff.
Fuck yeah, Myles. So if anybody wants to book you for a class or get in touch with you, how do they do that?
You can just reach out to me at Myles@PeakBev, or you can just shoot me an email through there, or just come check out our website. Exciting news, we are going to be moving into a new market. We don't know where, but we're going to be, the goal for Peak Beverage is to be in multiple markets here soon enough. So
global.
Hopefully. I keep saying global. I was like, I want to be.
They're like, we're trying to go to Colorado Springs. And I was like, how about New York, bro?
I'm saying, like, why not on a beach in Mexico?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're just trying to get a vacation spot. I love that. Well, Myles, thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate it. I will have more episodes with Myles. That's Myles Fischer, Myles with a Y.
Myles with a Y.
Fucking get it right out there. Hit him up if you need to learn anything about beverage. I'm sure you can set up a class for you. Other than that, Chef, we're about to go out to eat, huh?
Here we are, Chef.
Fucking delicious. Senor Bear. It's one of my favorite restaurants. Oh, okay. And then Senor Bear, and then I got another podcast coming up, the CBC of Senor Bear. So that's coming up literally in 2 hours. And I'm going to get in the car and drive to Kansas City. No sleeping for Sucio Talk. Here we go.